Hello everybody. I wanted to share with you this video. It's sped up and it's all the work we've been doing in SketchUp. Now, the total time it took me to remake our building here is 30 minutes, and I've times that by 3 just to speed things up. But I just want to run through everything we've done because we've done quite a lot. So we've had the plans inside of SketchUp and we've used that to bring in our floors. We've then brought in a long section which has told us where our levels are, and we've been able to add different floors for each of those levels. All of the drawings that we've brought in have been DWGs from AutoCAD, and we've been using those DWGs because they are one-to-one scale, and they have allowed us to snap things into position and get things exactly where they need to be for your project. So after creating the floors and the roof, we created the walls, and they were just simple extrusions, about 300 mm thickness. We had that one awkward wall that was diagonal, and we had to make a box and then extrude along that path. We've kept everything with right angles to help us with using the push and pull tool and adding doors and windows and that sort of stuff. We've also I've added a little drawing in here which I'm going to include in an email to you. Okay, so this just has the front of the shop with the windows, and this helps us to create our fenestrations, the holes in the front wall where our windows are going to go. Okay, so you can see that I'm just taking that first front rectangle shape and then cutting through holes for where all the windows should be. Okay, so we end up with quite a basic shape here, and there it is. There's the shape, so that can be placed into position. We'll come back and look at the windows in a little bit. Okay, so we're adding that front in, and now we can add in the columns. So all of the columns go up at least 2 of the floors. Okay, so they're not all the same height. I think in this particular model I'm going to make the front one the highest one that goes all the way to the roof, but all the others will go to the top of the second floor. Okay, so now we're adding the walls, but we're thinking about the step towards the back of the roof where it is lower. Okay, so we're just drawing one simple pencil line so that we can use the push-pull tool towards the back and lower the roof area there. Now we can look at these columns. So they are components, so we can increase the size of all of them, but I'm going to make these ones unique so we can reduce the height of these columns towards the back. And one is a bit lower, so we're just going to increase the height so it reaches the ceiling of the top level there. Now we're going to add the fire escape, and we're using the tape measure tool to make sure that we get that the right height. So you probably remember the dimension I gave you, which is 1981 millimeters standard door height, and then you've got to make sure that you draw it within the group or component so that you can punch through the wall. And then we're using the push-pull tool so that it snaps to the right width based on the plan that we already had in there. So now let's have a look at the steps and a little reminder. So we're creating a block, making it into a component called step, and then we're copying it and using asterisk 14 to times it. So we've got a diagonal array, and then I'm changing the camera view. Most of the time you're using parallel projection so that I can see where the landing is for the step, and then we're carrying on with the components, copying them up, and then creating another array of 10 steps going up to the first floor. So that's star 10, there we go. And now we are going to just hide some of these floors so that we can go in and modify those components. So you remember that when we create a component we can modify one of them, and I'm also breaking a hole in the floor so that we can so people can get up to the first floor. So I'm using the scale tool to increase the height of the step just slightly, so make sure that it all fits together. And let's have a look at that component. So we're going to go in, zoom in, get a good position. We're going to modify one of the steps, draw a line, and then use the push-pull tool, and that's modified all the steps in our project because they're all the same component. Right, so let's add the window frames, and I'm using the drawing that I've got here. I'll be able to include this drawing for you guys. And we're creating a component for this window frame. I'm going to change the color of the window frame to something quite dark, which I think is in keeping with what the building is right now. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just using the rectangle tool just to draw those outlines, extrude them out about, I'm extruding out at 100 mil. And I'm just going to copy those and then do the final entrance windows. Okay, just a whole lot of rectangles here. Once the rectangles are drawn, I can extrude out the frame and delete all those internal bits. So they're just going to be open and empty. I think that's going to be useful when we go into Twinmotion. Changing the color, selecting them all, moving them across, snapping them into the wall currently, and I'm just going to move them back just about 50 mil into position. So that's looking good. Now we can hide those plans, bring back the other things that are hidden, and and we can create that back wall on the roof. So it's another extruded rectangle about 300 mil wide, and then we can just use the push-pull tool so it snaps into position, and we'll get that going from end to end, and then we can just modify that roof section to make sure it's exactly the right size. You've got to make sure that you go inside the group to make those changes. Once you have done that, you can use the push-pull tool to select and push-pull down and just cut that last bit off. I'm also going to take that column down to the lower level using the push-pull tool, and there we go. Okay, so this is our building. We want all those separate panels. Oh, we do want there are some panels that are not see-through there, which just hide that top storage area, so it's a good idea to put those in. So that's one panel that's just going to go across the frames at the top on the entrance as well, and I'm just going to adjust that, make sure that it fits exactly, and there we go. So we've got our building. Okay, you can add colors, you can add textures. There are a few more staircases you can add, and this is how we want the building to look. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.